To start things off, we've got an ad from our gold sponsor, Hub International. And I think Lauren will lead us into that, okay? So thank you. Thank you. That was a great, a great thank you from Hub, our gold sponsor. And on behalf of RNAO, on behalf of myself, I just want to say hats off to each of you for being a nurse. Wow, what a, as nurses, each of you, you take care of patients when they're the most vulnerable. And like I said, my name is Dolare Seran. I'm a certified HR leader, and I've have over 25 years in HR. I've worked in oil and gas, I've worked in the banks, I've worked for healthcare, I've worked for insurance, I've worked for profit and nonprofit companies. As a disclaimer, I am not a nurse, but I've had the privilege of hiring nurses for the past 9 years. And today, my topic is interviewing tips and preparing an elevator speech. And with me, I am very, very pleased to say that I've got 3 of our nurses from RNAO, and they'll share with us their elevator speeches. Our workshop goals for today is that by the end of this session, you will be able to prepare for virtual interviews, and you'll learn how to prepare an elevator speech. Now, your cover letter and your resume has captured the employer's attention. In terms of statistics, and I'm sure you all know this, there are lots of applicants for every job. For example, from 100, 15 resume will be screened. And of that 15, 5 will probably receive a virtual screening. And then of course, 2 or 3 will be asked for a full interview. So we are going on the assumption that you've made the first cut for the virtual screen. Like I said, you've met the requirements for the role. Now the employer wants to get a feel of you, wants to get a feel of your personality, your communication skills, and the depth of knowledge or your skill sets that you've got in terms of this role. And it feels very, very unnatural without eye contact. And it could be difficult to build rapport. Most and all virtual screens, it has to be pre-arranged, just like today. In order for us to meet with you, someone had to send you a virtual link. So make sure you receive your virtual link, make sure your computer works, test it out. things happen. Look at us. We think we had everything figured out, but today, as you witnessed, we had some problems in terms of getting this going. So make sure your computer works. Reconfirm with the person that sent you the link about the date and time of your meeting, and make sure you're in a quiet location. There's no distraction, say from family members, your pet. It's always it's the first time you're meeting. You want a quiet area. Be prepared and be ready to speak about your accomplishments. Of course, all employers, why should we hire you? I am sure a lot of people were curious about the terminology elevator speech, right? Now, an elevator speech is basically, they just call it an elevator speech. For example, say you meet the head of nurse for a chief nurse of a hospital in an elevator. The idea is that you've got a minute or a minute and a half to convince her, well, him or her, well, it's a her, that you've got the skill sets that she needs at her hospital. So you quickly need to know and tell her who you are, what you can do, and of course, for the listener to take action. In an elevator speech, it's basically, the who is, my name is, and the what is that you're a nurse and you're unique. Somehow, like you've got a specialty either in cardiac. Well, I put cardiac here, but it could be any sort of specialty. The idea is to get the listener's attention. Speak about your accomplishment and be credible. You want the listener to be interested in you and want them to take action and to learn more about you and to continue that conversation. And all it takes is practice, practice, practice. Practice on your family, practice in front of the mirror. You can even pre-record it and see how you sound, you know what I mean? So practice is the key thing. But in here again, practice, 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 but you don't want to sound too rehearsed. So when you meet that person, you want to say it in such a way that you know what you're saying, you've practiced it, and you're confident in saying it. Now, in terms of elevator speeches, our colleagues and nurses at RNAO will share their speeches, their elevator speeches. And if you would like to do the same, Erica D'Souza is at the other end, and just indicate in the chat box. And we would love to hear from you and to share in terms of what you're doing. And we can even possibly, among the 5 of us, we can give you feedback. However, to start things off, I hand you over to Cristina Medeiros in terms of her elevator speech.
Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead then.
Yes.
All right. Hi, my name is Cristina Medeiros, and I'm the Senior Manager of Evaluation and Monitoring at the RNAO. So I lead the qualitative and quantitative evaluation of best practice guideline implementation at the BPSO, Best Practice Spotlight Organization program. And so I'm a registered nurse with a wide variety of different types of experience. So I used to be a pediatric orthopedic ear, nose, and throat nurse at Sick Kids. And I also have a wide array of experiences in research. I'm currently doing my PhD in decision-making for parents who are offered hip surgery for their child with severe cerebral palsy. I've also led many scoping reviews on specialized pediatric palliative care and pediatric nurse burnout, just to name a few. I've also data collected and analyzed for qualitative and quantitative research projects. I am also passionate about education. I'm a certified grade 7 through grade 12 math and phys ed teacher, and I also have been teaching at George Brown College since 2016 for internationally educated nurses in pathophysiology as well as pharmacology. So I believe that my breadth and depth of nursing experience, as well as my bubbly personality, my hardworking attitude, and my willingness to take on different types of challenges can be an asset to your organization. So it was great to meet you.
Yeah, thank you, Cristina. So anybody wants to give feedback or like any questions, comments, or should we just ask Julia to do her elevator speech?
Can we hear if there's some feedback for Cristina before we move on to Julia? Like, I would hire you on the spot, except for that you already work for us. So, and I didn't even know you were a certified teacher, but it'd be great to hear what other people say.
Erica, is there anybody on the chat box wanting to share or their comment or?
No, not yet. If anyone does want to unmute as well, you can unmute, or you can type your questions, or if you want to share your speech in the chat box.
Can I also say that I like, Christina, how you said a little bit about your personality as well as your background, and that shows a lot of your interests too. Yeah, and
Yeah, that was good. Is there something in the chat box? I heard the keys rattling. Is there a question, Erica, or sharing?
So we do have some comments. Great job. That was amazing, Christine. I thought it was well done. I like your body language. Smile. It matches your personality. Great speech. One question. How do you know that your elevator speech is hitting the point the listener wants to hear?
I'm sorry, what's the person's name?
So this is Margot.
Hey, Margot, in terms of like, I mean, if when you're meeting somebody, like, I mean, an elevator speech is not only for a prospective employer, it's really about knowing yourself, and it's to you know yourself, to speak about yourself in a confident manner. So it could be an employer, it could be as in a social setting. So it's always good to know who you are and to know your skill sets and your accomplishments. The idea is to impress somebody and to carry on a conversation with you. Can we carry on now? Julia, are you willing and
We have
able
one.
to
We have one
share?
more question. We have one more question.
Oh, we do? Okay, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
The other question is how much should you be sharing?
Well, in terms of an elevator speech, like, I mean, it's like Christina did a great job, and she did it like I think it's probably about a minute or so. Christina, I don't know if you've timed yourself, but it all depends on the time that you've got with the person. Like the idea is to be interesting and just to get the listener to take some sort of action to either carry on the conversation or to ask to meet with you. You know what I mean? So it's all personal, and you gauge it on the occasion or the incident or the event. Okay, can we carry on now with Julia? Julia Zuckel, are you ready to do your elevator speech?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Julia, and I'm a registered nurse. I began my nursing career as a critical care nurse, working in both the CCU and ICU at a large academic hospital. For the last 4 years, I've worked at the RNAO as the guideline development methodologist and eventually senior manager of guideline development. But more recently, I transitioned into the role of implementation science manager, where I'm hoping to use my critical care experience and knowledge of guidelines to help organizations implement RNAO's BPGs and positively affect health and well-being of both patients and staff.
Thank you, Julia. Comments that anyone would like to share, please?
So we have some good comments. Amazing work, Julia.
So we're all good. So we're getting the idea.
Another comment we have is
put that in the back of my car, will you? Those bags and that box.
Just gonna make sure we mute everybody again. Okay. So another comment we have is an elevator speech the way you would answer the question, why should we hire you in an interview? Or is it meant for those moments where you accidentally bump into someone?
It could be for both. It really could be for both. If you're meeting a prospective employer, you should be ready and willing and able to talk about your experience in terms of your accomplishments and in terms of the job that you're interviewing for. Later on in my presentation, I'll be giving a bit more detail in terms of when you're using your elevator speech. Your elevator speech, for example, is at your start of your interview. If you've got a panel, if you're facing a panel, and the first question they'll ask you is, tell us about you. So at that point in time, you should be ready and willing and able to talk about you in about a minute and a half. Okay, and of course, by doing so, you also, by knowing your elevator speech, you can use it at other social events. It could be speaking with your neighbor if they ask you, like, I mean, in terms of what kind of work that you do, you know, it could be at a party. So, yeah. Any other questions, Erica?
We have one more question. I think we already answered this before, but maybe she missed it. Is there an ideal time guideline on how long the elevator speech should be?
Well, like, okay, it could be a minute, could be a minute and a half. It all depends on the event that you're in, like the situation that you're in. I mean, if you're at a job interview, it could be a minute and a half. It could be, if it is an elevator, sometimes you just have 30 seconds to make that first impression. So it all depends on the occasion.
And one more question we have is, should you pull in something about, sorry, I'm just reading it. Should you pull in something about work where they are doing as a starting point?
Oh, are you saying about like
Anita, do you want to clarify what you mean by that question?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Sorry about that. I was trying to type it really quickly and then didn't realize it didn't make sense. But essentially, like, would it be good if you're in the elevator with them or wherever you bump into them to sort of mention some of the work that they're doing to sort of get their attention?
Yeah, to break the ice, kind of an idea. Oh yeah, like, I mean, it's that's a great point. I mean, breaking the ice is like, yeah, we're both nurses. You are, you know, like, I mean, you're working at XYZ a hospital. I'm working at this hospital. This is what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? So yes, it's that's fabulous. Yes, it's a great idea to break the ice in terms of similarities that you share. Great question so far. This is terrific. And shout out to Susan McNeil. She suggested in terms of my presentation to have that we have a discussion like this. Thanks, Susan. This is working out really fabulously. Are there any other questions, Erica?
Nope, that's it. We can move on to the next person.
Terrific. Javier, are you ready for your elevator speech?
Yes.
Terrific.
Hi, my name is Javier, and I'm a master's prepared registered nurse with expertise in a palliative approach to care and health research. I have worked in various settings, including general surgery, acquired brain injury rehab, and home care coordination. In my clinical roles, I have effectively used my academic and research background to inform the use of evidence-based practice. I recently transitioned to the role of an implementation science manager at the RNAO. I am confident that I will be able to support my colleagues in our shared vision of promoting excellence in nursing practice across organizations in Ontario and beyond. I am very happy and excited about my current role, and I look forward to pursuing more opportunities in the future that also align with leveraging evidence-based research to enhance health policy and practice.
Thank you, Javier. Comments, please. Erica, are there any questions or comments? Would anybody in the audience, other than my colleagues here at RNAO, like to share their elevator speech? Okay, you know what? I'll continue with my presentation, and perhaps at the end, I'll ask again, and you will want to share at that point in time. RNAO nurses, thank you so much. Okay, so in continuing our elevator speech, like I was saying, in terms of elevator speech, you can use it when you're being interviewed and by a panel, when they ask you, tell us about yourself. It's a great time for you to use your elevator speech. You can use it at networking events. You can use it at career fairs, when you're meeting new people, and other social events. Now, in terms of preparing for your virtual screen, I find, and what works, even for myself today, right? Prepare for your virtual screen as if it's a face-to-face physical meeting. You know, you dress well, good hygiene, you comb your hair. I put on some makeup. So, you just dress and prepare as if it's a physical meeting. Make sure you sign on and test your equipment about 5 minutes before. Ensure that you're sitting in a quiet place and there are no distractions. Like I said, no pet, no spouse, no children. Do your research. Make sure you've got a good understanding of the role that you're being screened for and that you're fit for it. Of course, you'll know the goals of the organization and if there are any news or any articles that are out there that you're aware of them. Prepare yourself mentally and even physically, like I was saying, by getting, dressed up for it and get into the interviewing mode. Dress for success. You can only make one first impression, right? Be personable and friendly. Smile, sound confident, make eye contact, and be as natural as possible. And know your resume. Have it beside you, but don't sound as if you're reading it though. Just have it there beside you and use the STAR method of approach. You probably hear about it. It basically is, tell us about your responsibilities and what you have accomplished using the situation. Tell us more about the task, what the results were, and your action, of course, and the result. I find also have a glass of water beside you, just in case your throat start acting up or something. You just want to make sure that the listener can hear you clearly. Don't oversell or undersell yourself. Listen and then answer questions. Ask relevant questions about the role by reviewing the organization's websites. And if you need clarification after you've had your virtual screen, and if there are certain points that were discussed and you want clarification, ask them. It's really good to do that. It's a big plus because it illustrates that you've been listening to the panel and you've got questions of your own. And it also shows your interest in the role that you're being screened for. Now, at the end of the meeting, ask about the next steps. And of course, end the meeting with a smile. After the interview, after the Zoom screen, I said Zoom, but it's really virtual screen. It could be any other medium too. Send a thank you note, an email within 24 hours mentioning your continued interest in the role, and also mention something that you discussed about the role. Follow up. Sometimes decisions can take a long time. Be patient. If you are the top candidate, they will find you. And I'm assuming now, congratulations, you have landed the role. In a sort of a summary, here are some tips for a great screen. Do's and don'ts. In terms of the do's, prepare, listen, stay calm, and smile. In terms of the don't be late. Don't use slang or swear words, and don't mention salary. And here, at this point in time, I would like to, talk about RNAO. I am sure you're all members of RNAO. If you are not, please continue to be a member. We are the Professional Association of Registered Nurses, Nurse Practitioners, and Nursing Students in Canada. We are the strong, credible voice leading the nursing profession to influence and promote healthy public policy and clinical excellence. And as we all know, we've got the best practice guidelines, and it is a signature program of RNAO. As a reminder, volunteer at RNAO, be a student ambassador, get involved at the local level at RNAO chapters. It's a great opportunity. At these chapters, it gives you a great chance to network. And hey, you can use your elevator speech at these meetings too. Participate as a stakeholder reviewer in terms of development of best practice guidelines. And you can even be recognized in the publication. Participate in interest groups and community events. Get involved. That's sort of my presentation today. But like I said, and I'm going to ask again, if there's anyone who would like to share their elevator speech, please put it in the chat box and we would love to hear from you.
So Dolare, why don't we answer 2 questions we have, and then we have one person that does want to share their speech.
That's lovely. Go ahead.
So one question we have is, how would a new nurse develop an elevator speech?
a new nurse developing a new, well, the first thing is like, my name is, I'm a nursing student, just completing my degree in whatever the program is, and and talk about the courses that they have done and how they're ready and willing to hit the ground running in terms of being a nurse.
Okay, another question we have is, could you provide a hypothetical example for your number 10? Be sure to ask questions about the role based on their website.
Say that again, Erica.
So can you provide a hypothetical example for it was number 10 on your list, to be sure to ask questions about the role based on their website?
Yeah, okay. Like, I mean, when you're looking for a role, like, I mean, say, for example, it's a nursing role you're looking at, and say it's at the Credit Valley Hospital, right? So in terms of yourself, you go on their website and you get to understand like the more about the hospital, their terminology, their jargon, and based on their vision, incorporate something that that you yourself identify with. Does that answer your question?
So yeah, that was my question. This is Joe. So that the point of that then is to convey to them that you've done some background work to understand who they are?
Yeah, it's
okay.
Yeah, like for example, like, I mean, nursing care, all hospitals are, that's their motto, that's their vision. But sometimes what happens with these healthcare associations, their terminology might be different. So using their terminology is always like it sort of shows that you've visited their website, you know their jargon, and you're able to speak it.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So another question we have is, would you recommend the students talk about their student placements in their elevator speech?
Of course, wonderful. Right there and then, like, yeah, my placement, I've been at XYZ hospital and I've done so many hours. Wonderful. That's really good. Listen, if anybody wants any assistance in terms of their own personal elevator speech, I'm there for you. dseran@rnao.ca. I would be very, very pleased to help you.
Okay, now we have Elena that wants to share her speech. Elena, do you want to turn on your video and share your elevator speech?
Yeah, sure. I would like to share.
Wonderful.
It's been a long time that I haven't attended any interviews. So it's my first time that I'm going with that also. Shall I share?
Sure, go right ahead. And right now you're we cannot see you. Your picture is not on.
Yeah, actually, the host has stopped it. Not.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
You can actually restart it now. I only stopped it for the presentation mode, but you can actually turn on your own video now. You should be able to do it yourself.
Okay. I'm not able. Okay. Hi.
Hi, Elena.
Hi. My name is Tintu. Actually, I'm a Bachelor of Nursing. I have started my career in 2008 as a critical care nurse. I worked in India as well as in Qatar, Middle East, for about 8 years in the critical care and 2 years in the medical surgical ward. And the latest of my career is in the critical care of with a JCI accredited hospital with a high level of teaching facility also. I worked as like a level 2 critical care nurse. I have done my preceptorship course over there and done a preceptee act as a mentor also. I have participated in the RRT team, the rapid response team, and the shared governance, where I have worked with the continuous quality improvement team for the policy review. In 2018, I migrated to Canada and I have started working as a personal support worker just to obtain my license in Canada. I don't wanted to lose my skills for nursing. So I started to do some of my nursing course like health assessment from George Brown College and some nursing ethics and some in the leadership in nursing also I took from Athabasca University. And recently got my license in Canada. So this is that's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Elena, are you, like, first of all, I mean, you said your name is Elena. We thought your name was Elena. So we have to make sure your name is correct.
No, actually, my name is Tindu. I guess
Tindu?
yeah.
Yeah. No,
The
that's fine.
Suma.
It's a pleasure meeting you. It's a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for sharing. I think it's amazing. We learned a lot about you in a minute and a half. And for my very first feedback to you would be that we need to practice it a bit more, and also to, like, I mean, as a listener, a person listening to you, I would need to know right away that you've got, like, I mean, you've got international experience working in both India and Canada. I'm restarting my career right now as a PSW. However, I've now received my my nursing license, and I'm ready and able to work in a hospital setting. Previously, I've done, and then list what you've done before. And you know, that's how I would say, like, very quickly off the bat. But I can coach you and help you to do, you know, to make it a bit more succinct. But thank you for sharing. Like, that was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have another question. You mentioned current news and events regarding long-term care. How is this subject broached gingerly?
In terms of long-term care with the pandemic going on and whatnot, I know it's sort of you have to take a stand. In terms of if you're in an elevator, like, I mean, remember how we were saying, like, it's a commonality, and you're looking for something that you have in common. So sometimes if the person is also in long-term care, they'll quickly understand, like, you know, depending on how your conversation is going, you're going to be sympathetic and empathetic in terms of what is going on currently now in long-term care. You can talk about, like, I mean, that could be your opening sentence in terms of it's very sad in terms of what's going on in long-term care. And right there and then they might buy into what you're actually going to say in terms of what you would like to do or what you've done in the past and what you would like to do right now. See what I'm saying? Any other questions, Erica?
Nope, that's it for now. I would like to mention as well, we still do have some resume review slots available for Thursday, May 13th. The form online is actually closed right now, but if you would like to fill one of these spots, you can email me directly, and you would have my email from today's email that went out that confirmed the webinar details. So we have another question. Will there be any dates in the near future? Stephanie, is this referring to dates for webinars or for resume review? No, there won't be any more resume review dates probably in the near future. We usually only do it during nursing week.
However, Stephanie, if you want your resume to be personally looked over, I can look at it. Send it to me at dseran@rneo.ca. Are there any other questions, Erica?
Nope, that's it.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure meeting all of you through the virtual Zoom line here. And I wish each and every one of you again, happy Nursing Week. And thank you for choosing nursing as a profession.
I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question. What if you cannot get a reference, anyone to give you a reference?
And what sort of reference? Are you talking about a work reference?
Yes.
You know what, can we take this offline and I can help you at that point in time? That's going to be more relevant to you, and then we can do that offline. Is that okay? Contact me at dseran@rneo.ca and I'll be pleased to speak with you.
Yes, okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks again, everyone.
Happy Nursing Week. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy Nursing Week.
Thanks, everyone. Happy Nursing Week.
Happy Nursing Week.
Happy Nursing Week.